Hello everyone. So today I'm gonna show you how to work this new tool that I have right here. It's essentially a new level builder tool that allows you to make a game based on a grid and with different obstacles, terrains, interactables, units, etc. I'm gonna go in depth in how it works, and I'm also gonna show how this project works. So yeah, let's get going. So first things first, what I want to show you is the basic organization of this project. We basically have the standards, 3D assets, 2D assets, the editor in case you use any tools, fonts, the TM Pro, scripts, all that. For now, we are concerned about resources and prefabs. This is because those are the two that are important for the builder and as a game designer to use. Now that we're more familiar with the project, what we want to do is go to the builder and start working. So let me show you how it's done. Basically, what you have to do is you click scenes, then you look for the builder scene. In this case, level builder scene. You click it, and there you go. Here in the builder scene, we have a few different options. We can see the inspector here with a bunch of different parents which host all the scripts, but I made it so that you don't have to touch anything here. You won't have to worry. The only thing you have to do is double click game. You can click play, and then the scene will load. Now that we are in the builder scene, I can show you what it does. Basically, it's a tool that lets you paint the level and make it the size that you want. Also, there is a bunch of newer tools here that I'm going to show you what they do later. But for now, let's keep it simple and start with the basics. So, if you right click in anywhere in the scene, what you can do is that you can rotate the whole map. Also, if you use WASD, you can move the camera. Plus, with Q and E, you can rotate as well. If you want to reset the camera, click here, reset camera, and there you go. You can zoom in with the scroll wheel and zoom out. So yeah, those are the basic movement controls for the builder. Now that we're familiar with that, I'm gonna show you what everything else does. Here in instructions, it'll tell you everything that I'm just telling you, but in case you forget. Here on the left side, you'll have your basic tools. You have the terrain paint, the obstacles, interactables, and the units. So let me go through each one of them. The first one is the terrains. You see how this is all white? Well, that's the basic terrain. It's applied by default. You can apply it later. If you change the basic to a different terrain, you'll apply it by default. So you'll have to paint each and every one tile. Next is block. And if you put it in the scene, units are gonna go around it because they cannot get in here. They'll path accordingly depending on which blocks you put. The next one I have is grass. As you can see, in grass, you can put materials on the sides and also on the top. You can also do that with each and every one of the tiles in terrains. Other terrains that we have are hazard, that you take damage when you enter. When you get out, you take damage as well. It also can be like you can only get in if you pay a certain amount of movement points, or it takes away a certain amount of movement points if you enter. It's all customizable. Here water is just blue in this case, but it also slows you down. For example, it costs you to pass through here, so usually units will just go around it. So yeah, now we can move on to obstacles. So here, by clicking the toggle, you can swap to obstacles and we can go through all the obstacles that we have. In this case, we only have two. What is the meaning of an obstacle? So as you can see, it's a big 3D model with a bunch of terrain below it. The meaning of this is that the 3D model is just for decoration. What's important is the blocks that are below. In this case, all blocks below obstacle counts as a terrain block, but you may say that it's different from this one. And yes, it is. Why in this case? Because later I'm gonna show you how you can put any texture to your block obstacles, or even just remove the texture and just leave it as is. But for now, just know that all these blocks below the obstacle counts the same as this one. Okay, so obstacles can also be rotated. So I'm gonna show you how you do it here in the builder. Instead of just clicking where you want them, what you can do is that you can hold click, then use the arrow keys to select the different positions that the obstacle can be in. So in this case, I wanted it to be this way. So now it's gonna be that way. So here I want another one that is this way. Oh no, I cannot put it here because it's outside the map. It doesn't let me. So I have to move it. Oh, I can move it here. There you go. But the problem is, now this path is blocked. So if you have a unit here, you'll never be able to get here. So just be careful with that. Always think about what the units can do and cannot do. Let me show you the other obstacle. In this case, this is a 2x2 obstacle. So what happens if you rotate? Well, it just changes the axis. It's attached to the center anchor and it's just gonna rotate around it. There you go. Now with obstacles done, we can move on to interactables. In this case, we only have one. We have a barrel. For this game specifically, we can use barrels to hide our units, so that way they can hide in case they're being chased, or maybe they can confuse the enemies by going into a barrel where there is a bunch of other barrels. Something like a situation where it's something like this. But also later on you can implement interactables that are like much bigger, and they have the same things as the obstacles that you can rotate them around. Now we go to one of the most important things, the units. So in this case, there are two classes of units. The regular units, that are the player units, and the enemy units. So first, with the units, we're gonna put this one, the first one. It's just this little Among Us guy. You can also rotate him around as you like. The reason that he's facing this way is because it looks better to spawn looking at the camera. That's the reason I put it that way. It's a test unit that I have for like debugging purposes. This one has much better stats and is really good for testing, so feel free to use it. For the enemy units, you have to click in this button right here. It's a team swap. So you click it and there you go. Now you're in the enemy tab. I'm gonna start with this one. Enemies can be actually rotating in the direction that they're looking. So let's see, if you want this guy looking this way, maybe the next one you want him looking this way. And yeah, you can do that. It's the same as the obstacles and interactables. What you do is that you hold click and then with the arrow keys, you select the direction that you want them in. Also, there is another unit that is a 2x2 unit. You can use it if you like. You can swap the stats to make it like a boss or something. So yeah, just play around it and have fun. There are different types of enemy units. The ones that we've been put in are just static units. What's the meaning of that? Is that, let's say you put a unit looking this way, right? And then one of your units, let's say this little Among Us guy, just walks right here and passes through. You'll alert this unit, and then this one, it'll start to chase until it loses sight of it. And right after it loses sight of it, what happens is that it will take the optimal path back to this exact position. Because it's static, it will not rotate, it will always stay this way, and it always will go back to this position. What other enemy units we have? So we have patrol. Let's say we wanted to look at it this way, right? And we want him to move to here. There you go. You see this little ghost of this unit? That's where he's gonna go. Let's say we have an obstacle, right? Let's say we have this. He's not gonna go through it. What he's gonna do is that he's gonna go through here. He can go this, and then he can go down, and then here. But what happens if we have, for example, this? Well, because there is entry cost for this, instead of him just going here, then going down, and here, no. Now he has to go around here and go here, because that will cost less points than just going through it. And also, you'll take less damage. So the A-star path system will take into account all the tiles and all the values, the entry value and the stay value. If you have a block, it'll go around it. If it's trapped, it will not move. If it has a, let's say, an interactable here and here, it'll just break one of them to get to the point that they have to go. As long as it has a way, it'll find the most optimal way to get there. But it'll always take into account all the types of terrain that you put. It depends on all the stats that you give to each terrain. Let's say water has a -3 on N3. So if you have 4 movement points, and you're here and you enter here, then you only have one more because this one took away, so you'll only move until here. Also, there is one more type of enemy that you have to be aware of. In this case is random look. So what it does is the same as static. Difference is that it's gonna look in a random direction every turn. So it might just stay here, and the next turn it'll stay here, and then it'll just look maybe this way, or maybe it'll look this way. Also, I forgot to mention the patrol unit. If you interrupt it because it saw you and then it starts chasing you, will go to the first patrol set point, and then after that it'll resume their patrol until the other set point. Now for the last toggle is the elevation toggle. What it does is that if you click on a tile, it'll elevate it by 1. In this case, you can elevate until 5. If you want to be able to elevate it later to different tiles, like let's say 10, you can do it. So you can select a tile that is under a unit, and you can elevate that unit as well. Each unit will have a select amount of tiles that they can climb. So let's say if you have something like this, 1, and then you have 2, and then you have 3, this guy will be able to climb through each step. But if you started with 2, you will not be able to do it. If, for example, you put an obstacle, you see how it occupies 4 different tiles. If you, for example, wanted to like elevate this one only, you'll elevate the whole thing because they're attached to each other. So that's how it works. The same for everything, but in this case, this is a ghost, so it will not elevate it. So let's try it out with something different. Let's say the stone wall, right? I'm gonna put the stone wall, I'm gonna use the elevation, and there you go, the whole thing. And that's how it works. Now I'm gonna tell you how to delete units and how to adjust the brush size. So let's say you want to delete this stone wall. What you do is that you hover and then you click the middle wheel button in your mouse. Say put a block, middle wheel, gone. Barrel, units, same thing. Also for elevation, if you want to remove elevation, you have to do it manually. For your brush size, what you can do is that you can select the brush that you want. Let's say you want 3, and it'll be do at 3 by 3. So in this case, I want elevation 5 in a 3 by 3, so it'll do it for me, and that's it. Now for the last thing in this section of the menu is the grid size. So by default, it'll always be 8 by 8. If we change it to 10 by 20 and click apply, it'll be much bigger, and you can move around and do the level design. And you might think, why is the camera look so weird? Oh, it's because it's isometric camera, and it tries to reflect how the game feels. So yeah, keep that in mind. Don't forget that if you click apply, it will erase everything. So if you, for example, have a bunch of obstacles, right? And you click, let's say 8 by 8 or whatever, just click apply, you'll erase everything. Be careful with that. Always set your grid size before you're gonna construct the level. It's really important. Do not forget that. At last, we arrived to the last part of the builder. Behold, the part where you put the name and you put the win conditions. So yeah, so basically what you do is that in the level name, you have this basic name that is gonna be always at the beginning, but you can change it to whatever you want. This here, you're gonna select the win condition. Basically, if you click all enemies and then you click apply, it'll add that win condition. If you want another one, you can click again. Let's say survive turns, you put 3 turns. You click apply, now you have 2 win conditions. You have to kill all enemies and survive 3 turns. So if you want to remove one, you just click the one and then you click remove. The other one is reach tile. How do you work with this one? Let's say you're like put in a barrel, right? You can see the preview, and that's pretty annoying. You don't want that. So what you do is that you go to selection mode. Now that you're in selection mode, you don't see it anymore. You just see this blue tile, and you're gonna select where are you gonna put the reach tile that you want. Make sure that you have the same amount of units as the reach tile that you're gonna put. I have some contingencies for it, but it's better to always make sure that if you have 3 reach tiles, you always have 3 units. Let's say you want it here, you click add reach tile, there you go, it's added. Then you click here, add reach tile, you see it's in the list. And for last, let me put one here, add reach tile, and there you go, it's in the list. Now 3 of them. Then you click apply, and there you go, reach tiles 3. That's how you do it. Okay, so what is this little toggle right here? Well, that's easy. What you do if you select this is that if you get seen by any enemy unit, you'll just lose immediately. There is another one, another win condition that is a little bit different. So basically, it's the same as reach tile. You select, selection mode, select here, add it, then go ahead and you do the same selection thing, add it, same thing. The difference is that your units have to get there, but at the same time, no enemy units have to be on pursuit of those units. What do I mean? If they see you and they still chasing you, you have to lose them. So once they come back to their positions and they don't care about you anymore, you can go and put your units there, and that way you can win the level. So here, let's say you want to load a level, right? So click load, and you can select out of all the levels you have saved, because they are saved as JSON files, and every time you put a level, it's gonna be here. That's pretty much it for the builder. So I'm gonna move on to a different scene. Now that we're done with the builder, I can show you the rest of the scenes. So here in the level picker are all the JSON files that you saved. So if I click play, you can see all the levels that you have saved. In this case, I just have a bunch of test levels. Say you want to load this one. You click on it, you click confirm, and then it moves you to the battle scene. What's the battle scene? It's the one in charge of all the gameplay. You have a few controls. You can select your unit, and you can move, attack, push, exit. Also, you can click escape or start if you have a controller, and you can go back to the level selector. Alright, we also have restart turn. So let me show you. Say move, right? And then I want to go back. So I just click restart turn, and it will restart where I was. That's what the battle scene is, and that's how it works. So, yep. Okay, so now we're gonna get into some more harder stuff. So basically, we're gonna talk about these 4 folders: 2D assets, 3D assets, prefabs, and resources. The first one that I'm gonna show you is resources, because all these 3 attach to this one in some way. So resources, it's where almost everything is stored. All the information, all this stuff about the units, all this stuff about the tiles, that's here. I'm gonna show you what they do. Now in level layouts, this is where all the save files that you made in the builder are stored. They're stored as JSON files, so you'll find them here. So if you delete one from here, they will not appear in the loader anymore. Now we're coming on to the most important folders. In this case, we're gonna start with the obstacle types. So you might remember rock big and stone wall. Those were the obstacles in the builder. Every scriptable object that is like saved here is gonna go in the builder automatically. You can populate the builder with as many as you want. In this case, you will always want this one to be activated. So what you do is that you test each rotation in the builder, and you adjust the scriptable object so that it looks good out of every direction that you rotated it. The vision here, you can select, let's say for the wall, you saw how it's broken. So instead of full, we can put partial, and we can make it so that like the more this way, the more that they can see. So if I put it this way, they'll have less chance of seeing you but if you put it this way, they'll have more chance. And here in surface effect, you can paint the terrain obstacle. Next are the rules. So here you can find the scriptable objects that dictates little rules for the enemy and the player. So we're coming to the last two, terrain types and unit data. In this case, terrain types are all the tiles and how they'll interact with the player and the movement. The last folder here on resources is unit data. This is where you store all your players and enemies. So let's start with the player. In this case I have two. I have the original one and I have my test one. And yeah, it's the same one for the enemies. I just have it in different folders. Make sure you save them in the folders that correspond to each one. It's important. So yeah, now that we have covered resources, we can go back to prefabs. So here on prefabs, we have the decorations folder that is for the hazards and like whatever you want to put in on top of the tiles. Have the enemy units. We have interactables, the barrel. We have obstacles, in this case just the cone. We have the player units, the tile, this one is a universal tile, and some UI. Now you have all the information for you to create levels. So I'm gonna leave you with me creating one level and then playing it. And thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoy. Bye.